Okay, so think about your entire digital life for a second. All your accounts, your data, everything you have access to. It's basically your own personal kingdom, right? Well, today we're talking about the keys to that kingdom. And really, the most important question is this: are you in control of who holds them?
For the longest time, cybersecurity was pretty simple. People thought about it like protecting a medieval castle. You just build a really big, strong wall, what we call the perimeter, around your whole network. And once you were inside that wall, hey, you were trusted. Simple, right? Yeah, that world is long, long gone. So what happened? Well, the castle itself kind of just dissolved. I mean, think about it. With cloud computing, remote work, all of our phones and tablets, our data doesn't live in one safe place anymore. It's everywhere. So that old perimeter, it's gone. The new perimeter is you. It's your digital identity. And that means the whole game has to change. We have to stop worrying so much about the castle wall and start obsessing over who holds the keys.
And look, if you need a reason why this is so urgent, get this. According to Verizon's big annual data breach report, a staggering 80%, 80, of web application attacks use stolen credentials. I mean, think about that. Attackers aren't even trying to break down the wall anymore. Why bother? They're just stealing the keys and walking right in the front door.
Okay, so if identity is the new perimeter, what do? We obviously need a whole new blueprint for security, one that's built around people, not places. And that's exactly the blueprint we're going to break down today.
That blueprint has a name. It's called Identity and Access Management, or IAM for short. The best way to think about it is like the ultimate rulebook for your digital kingdom. It's the whole shebang. All the business processes, the policies, the tech, that all work together to answer a few critical questions. Who gets a key? Which doors can that key open? And maybe most importantly, how can we be absolutely 100% sure the person holding that key is who they claim to be? All right, so how does this rulebook actually work in practice? Well, it all starts with the most fundamental question you can ask. Before we let you in the door, before we grant you access to anything, how do we prove you really are who you say you are? And that, right there, is the job of strong authentication.
Now, the absolute cornerstone of strong authentication is something I'm willing to bet you've already used today. It's multi-factor authentication, or MFA. The idea is simple. Instead of just relying on a password, something MFA forces you to add another layer. It makes you prove your identity with something you have, like your phone, or even something you are, like your fingerprint.
Yeah, it's a process we're all pretty familiar with by now. But it's so important to remember what's happening. That simple little second step, that quick tap on your phone, is the thing that makes a stolen password pretty much useless to an attacker. But, and this is a really crucial point, not all MFA is created equal, not even close. Some methods, like those simple text message codes, can actually still be beaten by a clever phishing attack. That's why the real goal, what all the experts are pushing for, is phishing-resistant MFA. We're talking about things like physical FIDO security keys. They're basically a little USB key you plug in to log on, or even smart cards. Because these things are physically tied to you, a fake website just can't trick them.
And believe it or not, security is getting even smarter than that. Modern systems don't just blindly ask for MFA every single time. Instead, they use something called adaptive authentication. It's like a smart security guard that's constantly looking at the context. It's asking questions like, hey, are you logging in from a new city? Is your device software up to date? Wait, why is this happening at 3 in the morning? And based on all these little risk signals, the system can decide on the fly to just let you in or maybe ask for one more check, just to be safe.
Okay, so we've verified who you are. The system's confident it's you. You're officially inside the castle. But that does not mean you get the keys to every single room. The next huge piece of the puzzle is deciding what you're actually allowed to do once you're inside. And that is called authorization. And usually the way this is managed is with something called Role-Based Access Control, or RBAC. It's actually a really simple but powerful idea. Instead of giving permissions to individual people, you give them to roles. So if you're on the sales team, you get sales team access. If you're a developer, you get developer access. It just makes managing who gets to do what way more predictable and a whole lot easier to manage.
Now, all of this is guided by a really important security philosophy, the principle of least privilege. The idea is simple, but it is so powerful. You basically assume that one of your accounts is going to get compromised eventually. So, by giving every single user only the absolute bare minimum access they need to do their job, and nothing more, you make sure that a small breach can't explode into a full-blown catastrophe. And this goes double for the master keys, the administrator accounts that can do anything. Those require serious extra layers of protection. We're talking about things like you can only do admin work from a special lockdown computer, or maybe only get that powerful access for a specific short window of time. And you'd better believe every single action taken with those keys is being recorded and reviewed.
So let's recap. We have strong ways to verify who you are, and we have smart rules for what you're allowed to access. That's great. But what if we took it even one step further? What if we just got rid of the whole idea of a trusted employee or a safe network altogether? Well, that is the mindset behind our third and final pillar, zero trust.
The mantra for zero trust is as simple as it is powerful. Never trust, always verify. What that really means is we are throwing out that old castle and moat idea completely. There's no more trusted inside of the network and dangerous outside. In a zero trust world, there is no inside. Every single request for access has to be verified every single time, no exceptions.
So what does that actually look like? It means that every time you try to open a file or access an app, the system is checking again. Who are you? Is your device secure and up to date? Does this request even make sense right now? It also involves a cool concept called microsegmentation. The best way to think of it is like putting watertight bulkheads in a ship. You isolate every single resource, so that even if an attacker manages to breach one little area, the damage can't spread to the rest of the ship. And all of this really brings us to a fundamental conclusion, a huge shift in thinking. Modern security isn't really about servers and firewalls anymore. It's about people. By putting our identity, our human identity, at the absolute center of our security strategy, we're finally moving away from that old, rigid, location-based model to one that's flexible, modern, and built for how we actually work today.
Because ultimately the goal of all this tech, all these policies, it isn't just about blocking the bad guys. It's actually about being an enabler. I love how the identity company OKTA phrases their vision. They say it's to free everyone to safely use any technology. And that's it right there. When you have strong identity security, you get the confidence to work from anywhere, on any device, and to connect with people without all the old barriers getting in the way.
And that brings us right back to where we started. Your work, your data, your entire online life, it is a kingdom, and it's all protected by keys. So I'll leave you with a question, and it's a personal one.